Recorded live from the heart of the Bakken, it's the Williston Works Podcast.
Welcome to the Williston Works Podcast, brought to you by the City of Williston. Williston Works brings you in-depth discussions with the entrepreneurs, small business owners, and investors who are getting it done in Williston, North Dakota. I'm your host, Shawn Wenko, Executive Director of Williston Economic Development. And today's guests, we have Jonas and Bonnita McKenzie. They're the owners of Coldstone and CrossFit Infliction. And we're going to talk a little bit about that. I really appreciate having you guys on the show for season 4. We're coming to you from the Williston Brewing Company. Again, I talked about the brewing company. That was an entrepreneur's dream several years ago, and you look at, that thing's happening here as well. Same thing with the podcast. This is, we get into, like I said, we're into season 4. We just recently won an award through the Mid-America Economic Development for marketing with these podcasts. And the whole idea behind this with the podcast is to really get it out there to the entrepreneurs and investors that, things are getting done in Williston and there's opportunity. And opportunity is what you guys really took advantage of, with the two businesses we're going to talk about. But, let's start about yourselves. How, a little bit of background on yourselves, and how did you end up in Williston?
Well, I'm kind of a country kid. I grew up just west of Trenton, North Dakota. Yeah. So I've been in the area my entire life, and I went from high school, I guess, to the oil field, and it transferred to this. So as the oil field changed, I started to change, and we came up with some different ideas, and that's how it all started, I guess.
How about yourself, Biddy?
Well, I'm from Belcourt. It's Turtle Mountain Bandit Chippewa Indian tribe.
Yep.
About 4 hours from here. And Jonas and I met, and I moved here. Yeah, I moved to Williston. So it took us about 2 years to get completely here. And I've been here since.
The first thing we're going to jump into is Coldstone Creamery. And I'm going to tell you right now, I should be a bit angry with you guys because you've cost me a lot of money with my 2 kids at Coldstone. Coldstone Creamery, obviously it's an ice cream shop with flair. But you guys are sitting at home. How did you come on the idea of saying, hey, you know what? Let's pursue this franchise?
So that's a long story that I'll make a little shorter. I've always loved Coldstone. Everywhere we went, we had Coldstone, and I always told my wife that we should open one in Williston, man. It'll do great. And one day, I just decided to call him up, and I told her the next day, I was like, so we got a meeting set up. She's like, what? And that's how it started. We talked about it for 5 years before we actually did it. And
what'd you think when the idea came across?
Well, knowing how the oil field is, right? We don't know from day to day what's going to happen. And he did talk about it for 5 years. And I'm like, well, we have 5 kids. We're super busy all the time. Yeah. We're running here. We have sports. We have this. We have that. And finally, our kids are like getting a little bit older. He presents the idea again. And I'm like, let's do it. Like, we're not so busy. Let's get busy, I guess.
Yeah.
And so that's where we started. He made the call, and we had a phone interview with them, and they checked out the area, and they compared us to other areas the same size, which we're not the same as other areas our size. And they said we were a perfect fit.
I love you brought that up because I deal with that a lot with specifically franchise opportunities, is trying to get the information across to them that, we look at a whole plethora of numbers, and we think we're kind of about that 35,000, 36,000, but the trade area is so much bigger.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And I try to get that across, and it just seems like it doesn't resonate that if you come into the market, you're going to do very well because the people surrounding us are rural. They're going to travel for this sort of thing.
Yeah.
So when we push restaurant retail opportunities, that's huge. But so I'm curious, when you talk to the franchise on the phone, what was there hesitation about Williston, or what was some of their questions that they said?
There wasn't really.
Mm-hmm.
There was no hesitation. I think that they underestimated Williston maybe a little.
Yeah, they did.
Because it was busy for the first month. There was a line out the door. Williston it made us successful immediately. The people just kind of took care of us. Mm-hmm. It was stressful until we opened the door, and then it was like, oh, okay, we're good.
You guys will be good.
Yeah.
So, well, and that's great, because again, that's the message we try to get across. Is I've seen in Williston, We grew so quickly as a community over the last 15 years, even the last like 10, that we never had time to put the things, what I call infill. So to put the small businesses in the community that make a city. And you're seeing that now. And when there's hesitation out there, say, listen, it's going to run itself. I mean, there's going to be some challenges getting open. You're going to see some higher costs and things. But at the end of the day, I mean, you're going to see a lot of support for it because there is that demand and craving for certain things like, let's say, Coldstone. Yep. Now, you guys got to I'm going to jump right to the opening real quick here. I mean, I heard stories about the grand opening and I heard stories about inventory ordering and stuff. Is it true? And can you tell me a bit about it?
It is true. When we opened the doors, so they, again, underestimated the Williston and what we were going to go through. So the inventory they gave us was like what they thought we should go through in 1 week. We went through in like 3 days. So we were having to run to like Minot Coldstone and buy some of their stuff out because our truck wasn't coming in for another 2 or 3 days. So we had to, Jonas made a lot of trips back and forth to Minot in that first week we opened because we were completely out of inventory. Corporate minds were blown. Absolutely blown. For our first month in business, they could not believe what we were going through.
Just the demand.
Yes.
So supportive too.
Yeah.
They're like, just go get it.
Yep.
They helped us out, told us where to get it.
Yep.
It was awesome.
Now, if I'm correct, when you guys opened, that wasn't really ice cream season, was it?
No, it was October.
Okay, so we're talking October. So we're not talking you guys opened up August 1st, it's 100 degrees out.
Yep.
We're October and people are still showing the demand, for ice cream.
Absolutely.
It's crazy.
It was amazing.
Yeah.
It was amazing to open the doors and have all the people there.
So what, talk about that too. I mean, some of the challenges we see, we talk a lot about workforce. How many employees do you have with Coldstone?
About 20.
Okay.
Yeah, we have 20 employees and we employ a lot of young kids. Young people, I should say.
Yep.
Yeah.
Is that what is that like with employment? Has it been a big challenge for you? Or do you guys see a lot of turnover? Or is it
not a lot, not as much as we thought we were going to see. Our first few months open, we had 0 turnover, so it was great. Our people that were there stayed there with us. They were troopers through all the people at the door. We had 10 people on the back line when there should usually only be like 5. Yeah. We had like 10 people back there. It was super crowded, but they were troopers through the whole thing.
One of the things I'd heard, and a lot of sales were coming out the door from DoorDash. What are you guys seeing in terms of sales from that side of things?
DoorDash is insane. It is. We have DoorDashers coming in from the time we open the doors till the time they close, all day. They keep business pretty steady. Well, people order DoorDash all day long.
Jumping from Coldstone, then you had so much success with that, or you're still having success. We want to get into the other business, CrossFit. And that is, that is something, again, I think it's a reflection on the community of, you look at Williston, it's a young community. Average age is probably 30, 31 years old right now. And there is just a plethora of CrossFit that is out there and opportunities. But you guys came in and started the own CrossFit business as well. Why don't you tell me a little bit about that?
Well, I've been doing CrossFit for about 7 years, and it's something that makes me happy. It helps me with longevity in life. You know what I mean? It gives you fitness. I don't know. There's so much about CrossFit that I can talk about. We were in the middle of opening up Coldstone, or at the end of opening up Coldstone, and we decided that we wanted to open up a CrossFit gym. We just didn't know when. We didn't know what time. And it was kind of like what you were just talking about waiting for that perfect time, maybe the perfect maybe cost to go down here or there. And so
there's no perfect time.
No, there really isn't. That's what we found out, is there's really not a perfect time, but we found a good spot and we found a good price and we found a time. So we did it. We were just like, we're going to do it and we're going to do it now. And we have this huge circle of people that were already working out with us and doing all this stuff. So opening up our gym was a success from the start. Once we got the equipment, that was a wait.
I suppose when we're talking about COVID again, correct? Absolutely. I mean, and we're hearing that a lot is the goods and services, getting them to market is a big challenge out there. So how far back did that set you guys?
Probably 30 to 45 days.
Yeah.
probably 30 to 45 days. Once we got the equipment ordered, then we were on hold. So we were good. Our affiliate was good. Everything was approved. So we were an actual CrossFit gym. We just didn't have, we had like our equipment from our garage in it at that time.
And opening the doors, I mean, demand right away, you guys saw, is this, you
Yes.
know, and so how does that work? I mean, is there a point where you kind of fill up with enough memberships, or are you always taking memberships, or?
So we'll always take memberships because there's different classes from 5 a.m. to 7 p.m. at night. So there's structured classes. So if we get to a big amount of people, of course, we'd ask them to move to a different class time. But for the most part, we have enough room for quite a few people.
One thing you'll never catch me at is the 5 a.m. That ain't happening for me, I'll tell you that. Maybe for you guys, I'm not getting up 5.
Yeah.
But, you know, one thing I want to ask, though, too, on kind of a lighter note with that, you guys couldn't get far away in differences from businesses from Coldstone Creamery to CrossFit.
Right.
Well, I joke when I say this, but job security, right? We're gonna sell some ice cream, and then we're gonna get you fit.
Yeah.
You guys you may be onto something,
Right.
there. You know, you've created an artificial demand for something on the CrossFit side of things.
Absolutely.
So, and again, I go back. You know, I think we keep saying CrossFit, but we're talking about the business name Infliction. Correct. How about the name? Where'd the name come from?
So, CrossFit can be difficult on days. So we laughed on the infliction part because it's self-inflicted, right? So you go to CrossFit, you choose to go there, you inflict somewhat of a painful workout on yourself.
Yeah.
And then we thought that infliction was a cool name.
And then send them to Coldstone Creamery
Absolutely.
afterwards for some
Yep.
Simple pleasures.
Yeah.
ice cream after they're done.
Yeah.
When you talk about Coldstone Infliction, we didn't talk a lot about the oil company that you're the part owner in with DC Power Tong. But you know, I see this a lot with small business owners. It's a family affair. Okay, so what's that like? You know, having to work together all the time. Because I'm gonna tell you, if I had to do that with my wife, she'd probably have thrown me out a long time ago.
Luckily, I'm a patient woman. Just kidding. I'm just kidding. I think that we get along really well for working together, for being together. We spent a lot of time apart when the oil field was booming. So he was at work all the time and I was at work all the time. And now that we have these businesses, we get to see each other a lot more. We get along really well. And of course, we have our opinions on things, but nothing ever gets out of control. We get along really well managing things together.
You know, I just ain't been right in a long time. And no, I'm just kidding. No, we get along. She's right. We get along really good. I don't think we've argued ever. So, I mean, little tiny things, but usually if somebody's going to agree with me on something, it's my wife. So we're pretty supportive to each other.
Yeah.
It's awesome.
That's part of the chemistry that makes, you know, it adds to the success of the businesses that you have. And again, I mean, we look forward to seeing you open quite a few more and your kids opening some down the road as well and just make Williston a good place. I want to leave you with the final word. If there's something you can say to potential entrepreneurs, investors out there about Williston, yourselves, or what they can expect, what would be a final thing you'd like to say?
If you're thinking about doing something, then do it. I mean, you have to take that step. Everybody's going to tell you not to, and that's a terrible idea. And it hasn't ended up that way for us.
Right.
It all ended up good. So,
Love it.
The community's been awesome to us. I would say, it's been so much support for us in both businesses that we just can't.
Everybody just put your arms around you here. We'll help you with everything.
Yeah.
If you, I mean, and you don't really even have to ask for it. Just they do it.
There's a lot of optimism in this community. I mean, it's and again, I just can't appreciate entrepreneurs like yourselves enough because you, like you said, you pulled the trigger, you took the chance, you're reaping the rewards right now, and that's just awesome. So
the thing is that, well, like it takes a big circle of people to accomplish these things. It ain't just us. My daughter's out there working hard. She manages Coldstone, by the way.
Oh, okay.
My other kids work at Coldstone or have here and there and helped us when it was really, really busy. Caden and Dalton and Keisha.
Okay.
All our kids have helped with everything. It takes a big circle of people to make a lot of good things happen.
Well, it's kind of the family. You know, you think about it, it's like a family business. I mean, and as things grow, you know, that's there's more or less opportunity to keep your kids when they grow up. Maybe they want to go off and experience something, but there's always a place for them to come home.
Absolutely.
And Williston is kind of the home that they can set up shop and be successful on. So I could say your kids, I go back to, they probably hate my kids because they found out at my kids, if they tip, they have to sing. And so they're always tipping like multiple times. And so they're probably like, here's those kids again, they're singing again. So.
Oh, trust us, we've had kids come in there and put like a penny in the tip jar and a penny in the tip jar and a penny. And they do it every time because they get humor out of it too. It's funny to them too. But when we opened up Coldstone, when Jonas would run to, and I have to say this because it was awesome, when he talks about it, like a village of people helping, right? Not only our kids, but he would be running to Minot to go get supplies, and we would call in our friends and they would come in and do dishes for 2 or 3 hours and just, you know what I mean? Just to come and help because they saw what we were going through.
Just how crazy
absolutely.
it was.
When we opened up our CrossFit gym, it was the same thing. We got into that building and it was like a village again. They came in and they helped us clean and helped us set up and helped us do all the things. So we definitely have a huge village behind us.
Awesome. Well, I tell you what, again, I appreciate what you're doing for this community and what you've added to this community. So I want to thank you guys for being on the podcast. We've got Jonas and Bonnita McKenzie, owners of the Coldstone Creamery and the Infliction. And I look forward to more ice cream and a little bit of CrossFit in the future.
Right.
So thanks again, everybody.
Yeah, thank you.
Also, thanks for listening to today's episode of the Williston Works Podcast. This is brought to you by the City of Williston. Please like and subscribe for more interviews and content. To learn more about Williston, North Dakota, visit citywilliston.com. I'm Shawn Wenko, Executive Director of the Economic Development Office, and I will see you next podcast.